I work for Forestry Corporation as a partnerships leader within our tourism and partnerships team. We're quite a small team in forestry. There's 4 of us partnerships leaders across the coast, I guess, North Coast, Mid-North Coast, Central, Hunter region and the South Coast. And I work in Wauchope, so I'm in the Mid-North Coast, and I'm sitting in for Louise Faulkner. She's our manager. So we're quite a small team and work in the sort of recreation and tourism side of opportunities in state forest. So my job is to sort of work in our recreation sites. We've got a number of sites across the state. Figures, if I know off the top of my head, I think, we've got about 90 actual designated visitor sites. We offer free camping on state forests, but then there's lookouts, some historical sites and different areas like that. And then another major part of my job is managing our forest permit system, where we allow activities and events and clubs, non-for-profit community groups, as well as commercial businesses on state forests. So that's pretty far-ranging, but things from pony clubs to archery clubs. A big one is mountain bike clubs. I can see a few familiar names in the list that probably aware of how we manage mountain biking on state forests. And then we've also got a number of commercial businesses, a small number. We've got the Treetops Adventure Parks. There's 3 of those on state forest. And then there's a number of paintball sites, as well as down south there's an accommodation, sort of a historical accommodation permit area that we've got there. So quite wide ranging. And then in terms of events, regular events, and it's interesting, we're just ramping up as well, or I guess not ramping up, but it's a slow reintroduction of events. We've got our first ones. I think there's a mountain bike event this weekend, and then the following, in 2 weeks' time, we've got a car rally and also a trail running event, which is the Elephant Trail Run in Port Macquarie. So looking at how we manage these in the COVID times, and so things are just going slowly. And as you said, Laurie, in the introduction, we've all got to be pretty careful, and I think our permit holders are showing lots of responsibility around how they're going to manage events, and definitely sticking by the rules as well. So I guess not really having sort of been involved or looked at your membership, but I guess you've got members from lots of different backgrounds, and as you said, school camps. That's an interesting one, because my kids are devastated thinking that their school camp's cancelled. It may still be by the end of the year, but I guess, is there any particular area you want me to further discuss? Or
Sandra, I think a large question that I've been getting from some that haven't engaged with forestry is, how can they start, or what have they got to do to start talking with you about something that they want to run in your forests? Yeah,
we've got information on our webpage, which it's in lots of web pages. That it doesn't give you the thorough description of what you can and can't do, but it's got a list of activities that can happen. It's got them in categories, but basically the best thing would be to sort of make contact with the local forestry office of where you are looking at undertaking an activity. So that you'll either get one of 4 people, and they can just have a quick chat with you to sort of gauge what the event is and what you're looking at. But I mean, the easiest way as well is to submit an application. Again, it's probably good to make that contact with the local office first, because the application form, you don't want to sort of go through that whole form without having just a brief informal conversation with the local office initially, just to sort of gauge whether that's an activity that has happened before, or whether it's appropriate in that space.
Yeah, great. And I know when I was talking to Louise, something I wasn't aware is the difference between the two types of forest. Did you want to just elaborate on, I think it's the hardwood versus...
Oh, right. Softwoods? Yeah. So that's sort of come about, it's our business structure. So we're Forestry Corporation, but there's distinct sort of business, two businesses within that. There's the softwood plantation business. So that's all softwood plantations that are planted, and we don't have a lot on the coast. There's some in the North Coast area, but yeah, sort of around Bathurst inland, anything, yeah, that's a non-native plantation is managed under the softwood business. And then the native forest hardwoods, is, you know, your general native forest, but we've also got areas of hardwood plantation, and that comes under the hardwood business. So this small team that I mentioned of 4 partnership leaders, we're on the hardwood side of the business. It's mirrored on the softwood side. So permit wise, you know, you apply for the same type of permit. It's the same system that manages it, but yeah, it's managed in a different office. And
okay.
Yeah, that's right.
One of our operators from Mid Coast Adventures, he's on the line now. He was just asking, what's the local office that's closest to Bulahdelah?
Bulahdelah, yeah, it's in between my area and Mike Hill. So it's one of those ones. I do manage most of the rallies, the car rallies that happen down there. Okay. But Mike Hill, he's located in the Maitland office. So we all work very closely together. So, you know, we talk in terms of when we receive an application, we kind of know what's happening in other areas as well. Some of our permit holders actually have a statewide permit. So, for example, we've got a mountain bike, commercial mountain bike company that runs events, and that's across both the softwood area as well as in the hardwood and across the state. So that person basically has the one point of contact, but he also makes local contact with everyone where his events are taking place.
Yeah, right. Would you mind putting in the contact details in the chat for the guys, just so they've got reference? That'd be great.
All right, now let me find the chat. Okay, yep, I can put that in there.
We're lucky to have Andrew Healy on the line as well, and Andrew is the one I'm working with the subcommittee, and I know it's an area that obviously he's been working with forestry as well about the activities with trail bikes. Andrew, did you want to jump online and just introduce yourself to everyone? Oh, hold on, let me unmute you. There we go.
How's that?
Give it another try.
Yeah. No worries. And thanks, Laurie, for the invitation. And Brian Wood from the Motorcycle Council is with us this morning as well.
Hey, Brian.
So chip in there, Brian, as needed. So yeah, we're at the very early stages of forming the subcommittee under the Motorcycle Council of New South Wales, which sits under eventually the Australian Motorcycle Council, although they are run as different organisations. Essentially, the COVID, I think, exposed the requirement or the combined voice or advocacy function for our particular activity, being recreational trail bike riders. So it's an activity that's been around since the 1970s and has never had a representative body. So essentially, there are 4 of us now that have set up a subcommittee. Brian sits on the executive from the Motorcycle Council, and then we're riders who have decided that this is the time to commence. We contacted the Office of Sport some months ago, and they recommended us to contact Laurie here at Outdoors New South Wales ACT and provide some guidance, particularly around strategic planning. And that probably is the mute and most salient point for us, I think, this year, is to really understand the environment that we're working in. And Forestry Corporation I would, combined with national parks, probably is our most, are the land managers, where I would think 95% of riding occurs. So we believe there's around 75,000 odd registered and licensed riders here in New South Wales. We've got we think 3 or 4 significant things to come to terms with, one of which is perception. And perception of the activity is, I think, for us, we're in the midst of significant change, very much so, about understanding particularly the environmental aspect of what we're doing, rather than not. And we can see some really early traction, Laurie, up there at Newnes Plateau, working with Forestry Corp and the local Lands Council. It's been fantastic. So we've already got 3 projects underway, and the outreach from local Land Service Forestry Corp has been really surprising to riders, because we've not had this before. So we're seeing dedicated management of existing trails to preserve them, and it's not rocket science. So it's good to see that it's just a something that's been waiting to happen for some time. I believe we'll get traction and momentum with what we're after, particularly now that we're joining up with you guys, to do what should have been done many, many years ago. And it's not so like, it's, I suppose, if we could normalize this, it's something that's been done for 60 or 70 years. So, but we know that there are big perception problems. We know that we have the unlicensed, unregistered issue, and particularly in Forestry Corp in-state forests. And we know that we have the single trail issue, just like mountain bikes, whereby people go along and design these trails, and maybe haven't considered historically what impact that's having or where we're doing it. Particularly when I was talking to I've met Michael Hill a few times, had a few chats with him, and Charlie Taylor, which sometimes we're in heritage areas, we're in Indigenous areas, where you're not just in state, just not just state forest areas. So I think the awareness campaign and education to rider, or peer-to-peer influence, will be a key part of what we're going to do, Laurie. And riders influencing other riders, we're seeing that approach very quickly being taken up just through lack of awareness. So awareness and education, I think, will be a big part of what we do. Engaging with the relevant agencies, helping with the registration, unlicensed riders issues. If we can achieve that, we'd be very satisfied. I think, Laurie, that's
really great intro, and I suppose it shows that collaboration is obviously key in anything that we do in this sector, but outside of our sector as well. And Sandra, thank you so much for Forestry Corporation in seeing the opportunity of our sector, and really, I think what I'm seeing with Louise and yourself and your team is that you are open for us to engage with you. It's not, you're not closed shop. You're not wanting to close off the forest. You want them to be enjoyed and explored. And so it's certainly an opportunity that we have.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, a great example just locally here would be, I mentioned that elephant trail race that's taking place in Cairncross State Forest. It's one of our regular state forests. It's not far from Port Macquarie. There's not a site in there that is a designated visitor site, but this group that has been doing the trail running is, they love the place, and they're discovering all these hidden little trails to run, and really enjoy the fact that they're running in an area that you can see the history of the forest as well. So we're a timber harvesting business, so you are going to be seeing areas that have been harvested and regrown, and over the time that they've been there, they're seeing changes, and people can see areas regrowing as well. So I think one of the messages in the chat, and I'll get back to it, is what areas are available for recreation. Well, it's just about coming to us, and then we look at what's happening. Basically all of our state forests, we don't have any closed areas as such. We we will look at your event and your plans in terms of what's happening as well with harvesting, with roading, also looking at fire safety aspects of what you're planning as well. So yeah, I'll get back to the chat, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, great. No, thank you so much for joining us, Sandra. And it was perfect opportunity to also talk to Andrew and Brian. Perfect timing. The stars aligned because obviously we had the motion moved by our board last week. So, and may I just acknowledge our board on that, you know, often we are challenged with, you know, where we need to put our resources and also, you know, where our attention is, and they've recognised the challenges that your area has, and we hope to now work on our terms of reference and get started. So thanks for joining us, guys. Please hang around. The next speaker I'm pleased to announce is Sarita, and Sarita is from Destination New South Wales. A bit of an old stomping ground of mine, Sarita. So great for you to join us, and thank you so much. I will make you co-host because I know you do have some slides. Now, I'll just introduce Sarita by saying that Destination New South Wales has a lot of free tools available for anyone that invites visitors and participants to their business. And I think it's something that our sector probably hasn't taken advantage of from what I can see. And of course, that's why I've asked Sarita to join us today, because particularly in the digital space, there's more than just the digital space, but I thought we'd start there today and ask Sarita to take us through what we can take on board and get our promotions a little bit further. So over to you, Sarita.
Thank you so much, Laurie, and thank you for the invitation. It'll be my pleasure to give you some hints and tips, essentially, so that you can better understand our Get Connected program, ATTW online, and sort of insights on optimizing any listings that you might have through that process. So I'm going to take you through the whole presentation. Obviously, if there are any questions, just let me know. I can always come back to you at the end of the presentation, but I will just crack on with this, giving you an overview. Oops. There we go. Sorry, technical. In terms of what I'll be covering today, as I mentioned just very briefly, we do have a program with Destination New South Wales called Get Connected, and it's a free opportunity for our operators to use the benefits of ATTW online, essentially. And just move on there. The membership program, as mentioned, was free, and it will actually feed our consumer websites, Visit New South Wales and Sydney.com. ATTW Online is actually our national tourism database and distribution platform, which is used by all state tourism organisations. Our own website reaches over 2 million potential customers domestically and internationally per month. And there are also over 200 actually distributors of those of all those listings across local, state and national partners. It could be councils as well as LTOs and RTOs. So the online categories that we have on that database are accommodation, events, food and drink, hire, tour, transport, and tourism businesses that do fall into those categories can set up a free listing for their products. Just also to be aware that our website, our consumer websites, are always the call to action for any of our consumer campaigns in Australia and also around the world as well. So as I mentioned, there is no cost to join this particular platform, and it is jointly owned and managed by the 8 official state and tourism organisations for our tourism industry. The ultimate function is to support our operators with digital marketing, and it will extend and help extend their exposure and attract more business online. For tourism operators, it provides a single point for your content management. And it's available across multiple sites. So the content goes through quality assurance processes just to make sure that it meets the national content standards. And we also have a team on site that ensures that all those business rules are met. Tourism operators have access to lots of insights via ATW online as well. And also one of the handy tools is that you can update anytime, anywhere. It's mobile optimized, so you can do it on the go on your smartphone even, as well as a tablet and obviously your own computers. It's easy to kind of reset if you've forgotten your passwords as well. And also if you have multiple products, you have an ability also to clone those products. And you can duplicate those that may be held at different locations. So that's a really handy tool as well. We have access, the distributors, have access to over 40,000 tourism listings to publish onto their websites or digital channels. The network actually is always growing, but we have over 200 local, state and national distributors at the moment, but you only ever need to update in one place and it will automatically feed through to distributors who will publish based on your location or your category. So each distributor is different in a way that they consume the data. So how it is represented across their websites may be slightly different from one to the other. But there is a list on the ATW website which shows you who are the licensed distributors available online. And I've just got a little snapshot there on the page there, just to give you a quick overview.
Does that mean, just for everyone's clarity, does that mean, say Big Four have the database in their website, and say someone's going to the North Coast, for example, and they go onto their website and look at the things to do, perhaps, that's pulling the content from what they've added into Get Connected so that they're getting further exposure to more audiences. Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly it. And like I said, that's just a tiny handful there just to showcase it. Each distributor has the opportunity to choose the type of operator that they want pulled through. However, you'd absolutely, you are across so many other websites. And just for an example, it could be your local council's tourism website, which is actually pulling that information through, very bespoke for your area only. So there are multiple layers where this actually works. And this is just an example of Australia.com, which is our national distributor. It's a federal government consumer website, and as you can see, it's slightly different to how Visit New South Wales publishes their data. And we always recommend actually just to familiarize yourself across the different distribution sites, just so that you can actually see how your listing can actually be shown in different ways. It's a very simple process. If you don't have a listing already, you would just go onto attwonline.com.au, and as you can see in the top right hand corner is a register now button. You would just check your eligibility criteria and make sure that you're okay, and you would click on that button for tourism operator. And one of the very good points actually our team mentioned, when you're registering your business, if you put in a generic email address just here, it means that if multiple people have access to that, then more people will see the notifications that come through from ATW, or for example, the expiry emails giving you a heads up that you need to make some amends as well. It's never published. So this is just to set up as a registration process. So that's just a really good tip to take on there. Then you would just create your user account. Password's always a minimum of 8 characters, and then you would just click create at the bottom of the form there. It gives you obviously your ATW terms and conditions as well. And then once you're successful, you just hit, once you've successfully registered, you just hit let's go. And here is an example that I've grabbed from our Visit New South Wales website, just to show you an example of what it would look like. Our digital distribution team actually works very closely with our in-house user experience designers just to make sure that they optimize all of our product listings. Soon to come, we will also be adding in features like showcasing prices, opening hours, facilities, accreditation and accessibility. But also, if you do happen to have your own listing, now's a good time to log in, review and refresh would be my recommendation. And we also welcome feedback, because our team actually has a quarterly meeting with a representative from each of the states, and they join an ATW forum, so we can always pass on information from those users that use it a lot of the time.
So Rita, sorry, just while I think of it, with Get Connected, are we aware of what happens in the ACT? Because I've got a few members from the ACT, and obviously they've got access to the same portal.
Yeah.
Does Canberra use ATDW?
Yes, they definitely do. And I know it's we don't get to see those particular listings, because the quality assurance of those products are actually dealt with by Visit Canberra. We look after our states as well, but everything is feeding into the same database, and that's the benefit for the operators, and knowing that there's a whole range of the distributors that will then utilize that information.
Yeah, wonderful. And just for everyone's benefit, we've got Jonathan Kobos, who's the head of Canberra Tourism, joining us in a couple of weeks. So, yeah, that'll
Fantastic.
be great keeping him on his things that he's doing. So, apologies.
That's all right. Oh, how am I doing for time? I better quickly check in.
You're doing well. And actually, I've just got a quick question here, if we wouldn't mind just jumping to this. I went to register. Actually, Mel, do you want to ask your question? If you can unmute yourself. Mel Diffie?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Hi, Sarita. I just, I went to register for our listing a couple of weeks ago, and I found that I didn't feel like we fit into a category to be able to register or list our business. And we're a school camp venue, and we also host weddings, but we're a 3-day wedding venue with accommodation and meals.
Yeah.
But I didn't finish my listing because I felt like we didn't really fit into any of the criteria for a listing.
Well, maybe if I could take your details through, and I'll get that from Laurie, and I can follow up directly with you, and then we can just chat through the product. I'd be happy to do that, and just talk about the options, see if I can find some like-for-like business operations, which then I can actually share the categories that they've chosen, because you won't be alone in that. So let's take that offline, and then I can follow up if that's okay with Laurie.
Sure. I'll just put my details. Oh, Laurie's got my details anyway.
Yes,
but
excellent.
Yeah, I'll pass
it. Let's do that.
No problem.
Okay.
Thanks, Mel, and
Thank
thanks
you.
for taking that on.
Thank you.
Thank you. No trouble. So just to, so am I doing okay for time, Laurie? Just to quickly check.
You're doing well.
Yes,
you're doing very well.
Awesome. I've only got a few more slides now, so that's good. So one of the most important things, obviously, is just thinking about your listing and optimizing it to your very best ability. You have every 12 months, it will go through a cycle as well. You'll need to update your listing, but it's actually all about images. They make the very first impression, and it lasts. It sets the scene, it shows the action, it evokes emotion, and you can load up to 10 images, so use them. That's our recommendation. Use real people, don't stage or overproduce your images, and just consider the time of day in terms of lighting, and for example, sort of no emptiness. If your visitor experience is all about people, get that into the shot as well. In terms of using videos, ATW actually accepts YouTube and Vimeo videos, and it's one of the most popular content items for web. It brings the experience to life with movement, sound. You can actually use videos that you create on your own smartphone. It doesn't need to be a professional production. It just needs to be 120 seconds. And some of the tips that we say is just ensure that the environment is free from any background noise, that the feature people using your products, and establish some really good unique selling points to convey in that video. In terms of copy, just think about SEO, so search engine optimization, just so that you mention your business name a few times. In the opening sentence, for example, is a really good top tip. And avoid using first-person language, and honesty as well, because it will mean better reviews, you'll get more customers. You can add on your social links as well, but they do obviously need to be your business accounts. And I believe what's coming soon as well is the ability to add TripAdvisor, so that will be good. And another useful thing is if you have an online software, booking software like Resdy, SiteMinder, you can actually link that direct URL into the listing, and then we can allow that to come through visitnewsouthwales.com, and then consumers can make a booking from our site to yours. It's very quick and very easy. So just keep it fresh, as I mentioned, every 12 months. Even think about it from a seasonal perspective. What can you update your listing with imagery or copy or video? And even just set yourself a calendar reminder on repeat so that you can not miss those opportunities, because people are always searching for something that they can do relevant to the environment in which they are. And I think any operators that are now operating in that outdoor space are just in that unique space right now where people are desperately searching for that. We're all too busy cooped up in our cities, in our regional towns, and we just want to go out further and experience more, and we need to know more, essentially. So just to end, we also do have a Sydney help team, and please feel free to take down those details. They're available via the phone or email Monday to Friday. And we also have guides following that URL link there, which will help you set up your category for operators. It gives you that step-by-step instructions with screenshots, so you can see what's coming as well. So those links will all be on this particular one here. I've also sent to Laurie a link to some guides, which hopefully we can share with you after the event. And these are quick tip guides for all of our operators that we've produced during the time of COVID-19 so that we can help get everybody restarting and have as much access to tools as possible.
Wonderful, Sarita, thank you. And those guides will be in the next members newsletter, so keep an eye out for those. Thank you so much. I do have a quick question from Mid Coast Adventures. Just contact details for Sydney Assistance Team. I think that phone number is the Sydney Assistance Team, but if you've got specific inquiries, guys, just send them through to me, and I'll connect Sarita with yourself. Like Mel's question, if you've got specific areas that you want help with, send them through to myself and I'll send them on to Sarita. Thank you again. Really appreciate you being here. And I think one really key thing from this is that Destination New South Wales has got a lot of activity going on at the moment, obviously because we've got a bit of a captured market. So now's the time to really get onto the website, because obviously the visits on the website have been going up quite substantially. So
absolutely. In fact, you almost used our line, which is "Now's the time to love New South Wales," which is the campaign that we're launching. We are it's one of the very first in many years where we've been pushing through a statewide approach, and we're using experience themes to pull everybody into our website. So nature, outdoors, adventures, all of those activities are actually featuring. When you're on ATTW, you have then the ability to appear on those relevant pages that the traffic is being driven to from our external advertising.
Wonderful. So and a tip for those Instagrammers out there: snapshot of your business with a heart and tag "I love New South Wales." You might get shown on the Visit New South Wales page.
Brilliant.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sarita. No worries. Okay, so the only other thing I had on the agenda was some, and I'm hoping to share my screen again. I'm missing my second screen, so I'm trying to navigate on a laptop, which I'm not used to. So let's give this a go. And I'm trying to find the website. So at the moment, there is some domestic visitor profiles available for people to download off the TRA website. They became live this week, and I've shared a couple with some members already, but this is actually quite insightful content from our friends at TRA about some of what people are wanting from their experiences if they're looking at having a national parks break or a cycling break for those that are in the cycling area. So if you are also interested in visitors to your area, these profiles are very informative about the type of visitor. This one's for the national parks and bushwalking one, and you can see it talks about the demographic, how they travel, what they do, how long they stay. So it gives you some insight into actually how to market better and more appropriately to this audience, and also understand the worth that they could potentially be to your business. And it talks about really what really ticks their boxes. So again, from a marketing side of things, it's really great information. So I'll share that link in the chat for you all. But did anyone have any questions or other issues that they wanted to discuss today? Feel free to jump in or put it into the chat. Happy either way. We've got pretty much 15 minutes left, so we're ahead of time, which is unusual for us. So if there's anything that's burning at the moment, please let me know. Or if you've got any more insight into any data that we can certainly use for our information that we're still talking to Department of Education about. I'll leave a little bit of airspace if anyone wants to jump in and talk. Yep, everyone's silent today. Okay. Well, guys, we might actually finish early today, but I hope that's been informative for you on the forestry and Destination New South Wales front, and a bit of a week in review. I will be offline next week, but as always, we do have the open phone policy, and Leslie is certainly around to take your calls if there's anything that pops up. And we'll certainly be informing you of the progress of what we're doing. Next Friday, we've got the information on the research, so keep in mind to jump on next Friday and hear more about that one. And Cameron, yes, thank you. We just talked about the 3K grant at the beginning of the session. I did ask everyone to please try to apply. I am aware that a lot of asset codes are not eligible, which is it's annoying because I think some of you may not have the right NZ code to be able to receive that. If that's the case, I need to know, because I want to actually take that to Service New South Wales and the Minister and ask the questions of why. So please jump on there, apply for the 3,000. It's great money to put into training, professional services, anything that you need to get started again, and it could pay for the media training for those that have already signed up. So anything like that, please jump on it and apply for that 3,000. And again, let me know if you're having trouble. If it says that you're not eligible, let me know. I think that's pretty much it. So thank you, everyone. I'll hang around if anyone wants to chat further. Sarita, I've got someone that wants to ask you a question privately, so we'll connect you to after this session. But thanks, everyone. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you the following Friday, but everyone can see you again next Friday. Take care. Thanks, Cameron.
Hi, Cameron. How are you going?
Hey, Mark, you're okay with that one?
Yes. Yeah, all good. I think that I've got just saw somebody drive up, so I think I'm going to have to disappear.
Okay. That's all right.
So,
No
I might.
Could we finish early?
I'll give a bit of a call to Savo and just catch up with a couple of things.
All right, sounds good.
Good. Thanks for the session. Cheers.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Bye.
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 Yeah. I think everyone else is gone, maybe. Hey.
Yeah, I'm just seeing if Mark's still there from Mulgra, because I
Yes, he is.
want to connect him. Mark, can you hear me?
unmute.
Where is there? I've asked him to unmute.
Hi Laurie, it's Denise here. Mark's just on a phone call.
Oh, no problem. How are you, Denise?
Good, thanks.
That's good. Yeah, I'll connect you guys with Sarita. Was there something specific you want me to get her to prepare for you?
It was more, how do we run tours from Goulburn into Canberra and back to Goulburn again, travelling through several little villages in New South Wales, and it's just trying to how to list that in ATDW, because I think from what Mark tells me, they seem to just want us to just have a standard place, not several different places that we travel through. So we're just trying to work out how to fix that listing to do that.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll definitely connect you with Sarita on that one. I think that's definitely a question that she can help you with.
That sounds great. Yeah, if you could do that. Thanks, Laurie.
Yeah, no worries. And I'll put you in for the second media workshop.
Okay, right.
So talking to Mark, I think on the email, he said he preferred the 23rd. So I'm going to move you guys to the 23rd, and if someone else wants the 20th, we'll do a swap.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks very much, Laurie.
Well, no worries. Take care, Denise. We'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Okay, all good.
Yep. All right. Thanks, love. Early, Mark.
See you.